Chapter 8. Abdication. Like the three sets of twins who were king and keeper before us, Max and I were blessed to recognize our Kayleys on the same day and occupied both royal seclusion suites simultaneously, consummating our unions on our 30th birthday. Max and I spent the time I was healing, after I broke my leg as a child, studying the other twins who became king and keeper before us, including Kavanaugh and Lorenzo. What could fracture their relationship? Jealousy? Confusion? Malice? We promised each other that we would remain true to one another, to Zachariah's promise, and to Estolia. After Sebastian was born, I tried to understand the significance. Always before, the heir apparent was born before the son of the keeper, even with twins. Tremaine, in his Capitulo, wrote, "The heir apparent must be in seclusion before the son of the keeper." This eliminates doubts regarding who was to be king. Leo's birth, on the day that Sebastian was due, came as a surprise. In an effort to counteract any potential difficulties arising out of their peculiar birth order, I told Leo that he should wait until after his cousin's seclusion to experience it for himself. I was uncomfortable asking my son to give up that blessing, but I believed that deity would reward him for his willingness to make the sacrifice. Xavier Archimedes Zacharian, Capitulo 86. Sebastian watched the sun rise from the back of his stallion Altair. He felt no joy in the familiar view. As with everything else over the last 4 months, there was only emptiness and unhappiness. He heard the clatter of another horse behind him. Either his brother or his father had joined him. They had both been shadowing him for several weeks. "I do not wish to exercise my duties as last resort," Gregory said. "Has any heir abdicated before?" Sebastian asked. "Only twice has the last resort been called upon to act in his official capacity," Gregory said. "Both were different from your situation. Alexandros begged Apollyon to abdicate, but he refused to do it. That is the only time abdication is ever mentioned in the Capitulos." Sebastian shifted his horse so he could look at his brother. "I have read every story of every ancestor. Read all there is on the topic, as you have, brother. I do not believe it has ever happened this way. Has Uncle Xavier said anything?" Gregory moved his horse closer and reached out one hand to his brother so they could clasp forearms. "He asked me to bring you to him. That is why I followed." "Lead on then," Sebastian said. He turned his stallion towards the path, following his brother. When they reached the entrance to the temple, acolytes hastened to hold the bridle of each horse so they could dismount. The two brothers entered the temple, walking side by side down the hallway to the keeper's office. Their father the king, and their uncle the keeper, were both in the office, along with their cousin Theo. Sebastian, his brother, his father and his uncle were the 4 men with the highest rank in Estolia, the Streleran, symbolized by the 4 central stars on the Estolian flag. According to everything he had ever read on the subject, he should be feeling the extraordinary power of having them all in the same room together. But all he felt was bitterness and exclusion. If he was honest with himself, he knew the reason. Melanie. She could not be queen of Estolia, and he could not be king without her. "What obstacle stands in your way?" Xavier asked him. "The woman I belong with cannot keep my soul in the accepted traditions of Zacharias. She cannot be queen of Estolia. There is no other woman alive who can keep my soul." He thought of Melanie again. His entire body yearned for her. After a moment, he said formally, "Though I have lived my entire life with every intention of being the king of Estolia, I find that given the choices available to me, I would rather be with Melanie than be king." As soon as he said the words, he felt a flood of warmth and peace. "Gregory?" Xavier asked. For just a moment, Gregory looked horrified. "I do not wish to be king. I am not the man for the position." He glanced from his brother to his cousin, and then the expression on his face changed to a grin. He got to his feet and moved to stand in front of Theo. He said formally, "Are you prepared to take on the duties of last resort?" Theo stood up and said, "It is my honor to serve Estolia, and to take on the role of last resort, to stand ready to take on the burdens of the crown should illness or iniquity render my brother, Balthazar Leopold Zacharian, unable to fulfill the promise of Zacharias as heir apparent, and as king of Estolia. Sebastian felt profound relief while his brother and cousin, father and uncle went through the prescribed words of the last resort ceremony. His thoughts were on Melanie. He could not leave Estolia during the transition, but once it was over, nothing on earth would keep him from going to her and begging her to have him. Once the ceremonial words were over, his uncle Xavier said to him, "When your father and I were born via caesarean section, our birth order was not recorded, and thus we did not know who was the rightful heir. When Leo was born a week before you, it seemed as if, perhaps, I should have been the one named king." He smiled at his brother before patting the arm of his wheelchair. "I believe, given the accident I had and the way deity has whispered to me over the years, that I was always destined to be keeper." "Does Leo know he is the heir apparent?" Sebastian asked. Xavier responded, "No. He will be most surprised when he arrives. The captain of the promise of deity is certain that the woman he is bringing back to Estolia will keep his soul, be his Kaylee." "And you are certain, Gregory?" Sebastian gestured to Theo wearing the sash. "Yes." Gregory was emphatic. "Theo always attended the training with me. I rather like the idea of another year of freedom before I must start looking around for my Kaylee. I was never keen on being last resort, and even less interested in being king." His expression took on a glow of happiness as he added, "I can now concentrate on a future working with wood. After Leo's position is confirmed, you will be able to invite your Melanie here to Estolia," Xavier told Sebastian.